All right. Well, welcome everyone to another edition, our second today, actually, and another edition of the Unpredictable Pipeline. Uh, in this series, we are talking to marketing leaders about 2020. We started the year with best laid plans, and 2020 had different ideas. Sometimes, Mandy and Helen, I feel like we're in a Billy Mays commercial where he keeps saying, "But wait, there's more." It just keeps on going. But really excited to have you both here, Mandy Lin, Helen Dwight, both from SAP. And I want to talk a little bit about, I mean, we talked to companies of different industries, different sizes, and I want to talk to a company of pretty decent size, pretty decent heft, multiple, global multinational corporation. What is it like when you've got a global pandemic that hits you from multiple fronts? And maybe Helen, have start with you and just have you talk about your team's responsibility, and a little bit of sort of like what happened in March when things started to change a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First of all, pleasure to be here. So thank you very much for hosting us. Helen Dwight, work for SAP. I'm responsible, the global head of marketing for intelligent enterprise and industries. For those of you that aren't aware, intelligent enterprise is our overarching strategy that helps companies run at their best. And for those that aren't aware of SAP, we are the leader in enterprise application software, the world's #1 cloud business company. We have over 200 million cloud users. So as you were saying, wanting to talk to companies of all different sizes. And we operate in over 180 countries and have over 18,300 global partners. So the breadth and the depth and the scope that we cover is enormous. And as part of that intelligent enterprise strategy, we have applications that pretty much cover every single discipline and aspect of your business that ultimately helps you run more efficiently, effectively with all of your business processes. So, we were in the middle of rolling out a number of our campaigns, as most people probably are at the beginning of the year. And I'll maybe let Mandy talk a little bit about some of the things that we needed to do to pivot. Mandy works in my team, leading a lot of our programs, and I'll maybe have Mandy talk a little bit about some of the pivots that we had to make to adapt and adjust to this environment. Mandy, over to you.
Sure, thank you. So it was certainly I'm a March birthday, so it was certainly an interesting birthday present to have COVID hitting right around that time. And for us, it was such a big challenge because we are a team that certainly thinks a lot about digital tactics, but we also had a heavy reliance on physical events, especially at the local level. So we needed to quickly scrap anything we were going to be doing in person and move everything to an online modality. Mm-hmm. And we realized very quickly that it was going to be a very crowded space. So a lot of conversations turned to how can we be empathetic to the situation, and the situation was at different places and in different parts of the world, that we would have the right tone and the right messaging. And of course, that what we would do would be standing out in a very crowded space. We didn't want our customers to be fatigued. We want to be very respectful of their time and very helpful.
And I would imagine as you've made that, pivot, as you move to more digital formats, I mean, it does get a little more crowded as everyone's pivoting at the same time. Helen, what were some of the things that you found most successful to help SAP's message stand out? Whether it was the message or the format or the approach, like what are some things that have worked in the last few months for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think when the pandemic hit, it was interesting because we were about to roll out one of our major campaigns of the year, which was fortunately for us, a virtual forum, and that format. It had been pre-recorded, but we were able to, because of the format, quickly pivot and adjust and put in some additional video to add context to the information that we were sharing. But I think what we found most effective, Mandy touched on it, is really trying to drive home the messages that are resonating here and now. Certainly through the pandemic, we had a lot of customers and partners working with us at SAP to try and adjust their business models to help other people. So we had car manufacturers that were changing their manufacturing and producing PPE equipment. We had a Coats, which is a thread manufacturer, working with ourselves and Microsoft to pivot its business to meet that global demand for PPE. And you're talking here about a company that's 256 years old, has been doing thread manufacturing. That's their core competency, and just being able to pivot at a dime to make that adjustment. So I think having some of those stories and being able to resonate with our customers has been particularly important and highly relevant. Just maintaining the relevancy, I would say.
One of the other things that I think we've seen companies really have to pivot and sort of get used to is not just the external environment, but sort of the internal work environment. Mandy, I'm assuming that you weren't working from the hot tub room, before your birthday. So can you talk a little bit about just what that transition's been like, and how you both maybe have really sort of helped lead your culture and your organization through that component of the change to maintain productivity, to maintain morale, and to keep people focused?
Right. So we had an extended leadership team yesterday within the solution area marketing. We were trying to find points of commonality. And one of them is that everybody in our breakout room, our Zoom breakout room, had purchased some sort of technology. Now, to do our work as knowledge workers, and we're finding ourselves working in hot tub rooms or other, areas of our home offices where we didn't necessarily work before, because it's a more crowded physical space. Yeah. But in terms of the culture, there's been some silver linings. I feel like we know each other a lot better now. It's a lot more come as you are. There's a lot more use of video. It's more accepted, the fact that you're working in weird places, or sometimes you're wearing your running clothes or whatever it may be. And we really do look out for one another, and we really place an emphasis on the well-being of our employees, and just a priority on the experience that they're going through, and the fact that they are working, and these are not normal times. They're working, in a pandemic.
Yeah. And then, you're a mother, you've got lots of stuff you're balancing as you sort of do this and work from home and probably manage homeschool. And, as an older company, as a larger company, sometimes those shifts can be kind of a shock to the culture. Helen, I'm curious, what would be your advice for other companies that are, have maybe been forced to make this pivot? You're now trying to think about what's the right balance moving forward. What's some of your advice to sort of make sure that they're sort of leading and finding the right balance while also accommodating, at least for now, like the multiple needs that their employees have?
No, I mean, it's a very important topic. And I have to say that I have had the good fortune of being able to work remotely, and SAP's had somewhat of a practice in that area for a while. So the whole notion of working remotely wasn't so much of necessarily a shock per se to me, but I think if you look at from a leadership perspective as a manager, one of the things I would say is, first and foremost, your company is made up of your people. So you have to be focusing on the well-being of your staff and the individuals that are working for you. I think a lot of people, when they think of working remotely, immediately think, oh, people are going to be not working, they're not going to be doing the work they need to do. I think the number one thing I would say is trust. You have to trust in your employees. If you do the right things for your employees, if you're looking out for your employees, if you're understanding, if you're empathetic, if you're concerned, those things go a long way, I think, to helping create that culture of trust. Everybody has a lot of work to do, and you have to allow individuals to do that work in the time frame that works for them. You touched on it. I've got a number of individuals, and hats off to all of the individuals that have children at school, are doing homeschooling and having to juggle work. You have to accommodate that, and you have to allow individuals to work at the pace they need to work at and when they need to work at it. So that could be, having a conversation with you at 6 o'clock in the evening. It could be having a conversation with you early in the morning. I've had situations where I've been online with somebody at 11 o'clock at night because it worked better within their schedule. And I think it puts a lot of onus on the individuals to manage and manage and balance their own time. That's the other thing you need to watch out for, is that you don't burn out and you don't start at 6 and then carry on till 11, 12 o'clock at night. You've got to have those breaks, and you've got to listen to yourself and understand yourself and be able to manage that time appropriately.
Absolutely. Well, great advice, guys. Thank you both so much for joining us. Mandy Lin, Helen Dwight from SAP Marketing. Thanks for sharing a little bit about internally and externally what it's been like this year to manage through the unpredictable pipeline.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.